Hello class, my name is Jessica Scheevel and this is my project for our historical nonfiction unit. For my project, I've chosen to focus on the Great Depression. My first book is Children of the Dust Bowl, The True Story of the School at Weed Patch Camp by Jerry Stanley. This book is a story of a group of people from Oklahoma who are called Okies who left their homes after the Dust Bowl to find work and new lives in California. This book is good because it gives real-life accounts with quotes by people who actually experienced it. So instead of a kid just hearing a summary of the event of the Dust Bowl, they can actually hear quotes from people who experienced it and get in the heads of someone who was there and had to endure all these tragedies. This book also uses period photographs, so it gives pictures from the actual event and allows the child to see what it was like and try to put themselves in their shoes. I would recommend this book for children between the ages of 8 and 12 because I think that children between those ages would all enjoy it, and it gives enough information for an older child while it is entertaining enough for a younger child. My second book is The Great Depression by Michael Bergen. Now this book gives an account of what happened in the Great Depression, from the stock market crash to the Second New Deal, and the results of what happened after the Great Depression. This book is good because it gives a brief description of the highlights of this era of the Great Depression, but it gives it in terms that a young child could understand. This book is not so great, though, for almost the same reason, because the descriptions are just so brief. In fact, I think it gives about 2 pages for each event, such as the New Deal or the stock market crash or things like that. It only gives about 2 pages description, so you're not getting very much information from it. So while it's more entertaining and it gives very brief highlights, short enough so a young child can understand, it does not give a lot of information. For that reason, I would say that this book should be read by an 8-year-old because it is, what is the word? It gives it in terms that are easy enough for them to understand, and it gives just the very beginnings of learning about the Great Depression, where they could learn probably more details later. The third book is The Dust Bowl, an interactive history adventure by Alison LeSueur. This book is a fiction book, but it allows children to imagine that they are in the Dust Bowl, and it gives them options as to different choices they could make, and then it gives them the consequences of their choices. This book is good because it allows children to put themselves in the shoes of those who are in the Dust Bowl and see what their decisions would be and what their decisions would lead to. So it kind of allows a child between the ages of 8 and 12 who are kind of searching for themselves and trying to find who they are in the world in relation to their peers, kind of allows them to, on their own, make decisions and see what their decisions would lead to. So it can either show them that they have good decision-making skills or not so good, and then therefore they can reevaluate the decisions they make in life. And while it's not always that deep, it is fun, and it is a book even I enjoyed by choosing an option and seeing what the consequence would be to the option I chose, and usually I did not survive. This book also uses period photographs, so as they're making their decisions, they can kind of see a picture of the consequence that they have been led to due to their choice. The fourth book is Children of the Great Depression by Russell Freedman, and this book describes the life of kids during the Great Depression. It ranges from what kids did for fun to those who had to drop out of school and work and kind of what their lives were like. So it is good for children because it talks about people their own age and what they would have done during this time. Most history classes teach all about what the adults did, and kids don't really understand or don't really care, but to hear someone their own age and what they had to deal with and how they survived, it would be interesting for a child to be able to relate to the person that they're learning about. This book also uses period photographs. Most of children, there are some of the houses they lived in, etc., so they can see they can see what life was like for the people who are the same age as them and what would be their peers and what they had to deal with. This book I would recommend for more of an older child, maybe 10 to 13, although I think a kid younger, such as 8 or 9, could probably enjoy it as well. But I would mostly recommend it for an older kid because it does use some terms that may be more difficult to understand. My final book is Years of Dust, The Story of the Dust Bowl. This book is by Albert Marin, and it describes the Dust Bowl and how people had to cope to survive. It is very similar to a textbook and much less of an entertainment book. This book is good though because it does tell it almost like a textbook, but with more simple terms, and it is more reader friendly as the terms more interact with the reader instead of just reading information. There are some cons to this book though. It is long and somewhat boring. To be completely honest, I got somewhat bored reading it, and I'm sure a child would as well. It is more information and less entertainment, which is good for history, but if you're trying to teach a younger child, it may be better to go for something a little more entertaining. This book also uses period photographs, and I would recommend it for 8 to 12, but probably more on the older end because it is a lot of information and a lot less entertainment. Out of all those, I think I would most recommend the interactive adventure book. While it does not spout dates and a lot of information, it would be great for a child to be able to imagine what it would be like to be in their situation and to put themselves in their shoes. And I know throughout elementary school, the stuff I remember most is the fun projects where I got to put myself in their shoes, so I think that book would be most enjoyed by people. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all had a great 8 weeks, and it was great getting to know you all.